Hey everyone, this is Peter from Roland. We're going to take a deep dive into the TR-8S today to look at what you can do with audio files inside the unit. So as you can see, this is a basic drum pattern with one sample being played back here. We can isolate that. And just from the front panel, of course, you can do things like tuning, you can do things like adjust the decay. But if we hold Shift and hit Inst, we go into the edit screen where we can change things like coarse tune, meaning I could adjust the sample in semitones, which is really good for kind of melodic changes, and that can be mapped to the control knob. Or I can go farther and see, okay, this is a sample playback rate parameter, which I can change into the negatives for reverse playback. And that can also be mapped to the control knob as well. And then I get into things like stereo spread. And this is actually a really unique parameter to use with a drum machine like this, where it actually does a really cool stereo detune type of effect. So if I turn this up, you'll notice that there's some kind of stereo detune type of motion happening. And if I lower it back to 0, it goes back to normal. And I can even go into the negatives for an inverse of that effect. Going forward, we have something called bit reduce, and bit reduce is something that's meant to dirty up samples that you load into the unit, mainly kind of emulating old samplers or old workstations, things that didn't have necessarily as high a bit depth as the TR-8S natively has. So we can take this and start to turn it up, and it gets pretty kind of gritty, which is great for sound design. If I want to turn something into some more of like a simple type of effect, or if I just want to do something subtle, let's keep it at 2 for now. It adds some character to it and adds some grit. After bit reduce, we have a parameter called attack, which will soften the entry of a sample. So I can have something that kind of gently slopes up, or I can have something that is a little bit more percussive, or anywhere in between. After that, I have the hold mode, and this is really great to tell the TR-8S how to adjust the decay of your sound. What I mean is, if I change it to step, for example, and change the decay to 0, I can go to the next option here and tell it a quantized amount of how long I want it to be, whether it's a half a step, a whole step, 1.5 steps, and so on. I have a really specific length that I can tell the sample to play back, and I can use the decay to function more as like a synthesizer release parameter or something similar to that. So if I have, say, like a very long sample, but I don't want it to decay at all, I want it to just go in and out, this is the option that I would play with. And there's also things like whole sample playback or just the default time parameter. So I'm gonna put it to step because I like how percussive it is, and then kind of go on to the next option here. Audio files also have a dedicated filter that you can use. It has low pass and high pass filter modes. And then it also has conventional cutoff and resonance that you can also use. It comes with an attack and decay parameter as well, so I can get some shaping there, along with a filter envelope amount. So it's much more like a synthesizer in that aspect. There's also a velocity parameter too. So if I have input velocity from MIDI, or if I'm using accents, I can have it react in a really convincing and organic way.